Hi there everyone, I'm back. I wouldn't say with a vengeance, but I'm back anyway. It's been a while. I think I've been I haven't done anything for about 10 months. There has been a reason for that. I won't go into too much detail, but I've been caring for my mother, and sadly she passed away in November. And so I thought, okay, it's time for me to, I suppose, get back in the game, and this is a great therapy for me anyway, cooking. So I thought I'd do a tutorial anyhow. I'm doing a tutorial on how to make a fish pie. Not in the sense that it has a pie crust, it's actually done with a mashed potato topping. But I'm going to run through some of the ingredients before we start. We're going to need some fresh parsley, and I've got some here. You're going to need some cheese, some plain flour. You'll need some milk and cream, but I'll list the ingredients below, so don't worry too much, and obviously I go through step by step. You'll need some cod loin. I use loin because usually it's boneless, or it has very little bones in it, and it's easier to handle, especially if you're new to handling fish. I've also got some smoked cod, again the loin, less bones, etc. I've also got some king prawns here, peeled, some plain flour and some cheese. I don't know if I've already mentioned that. So I'm going to set up now, and I'm going to show you how to make this, and I mean it is delicious, please. Trust me on it. It's my recipe. There are different fish pie recipes out there, don't get me wrong, and some of them are very extravagant with salmon in. Unfortunately for me, I'm not a great lover of salmon. So I stick to very traditional cooking, and this is how I do it. Let's get started. Okay, let's get this started. This is the great part. What we're going to do is we're going to poach our fish, and we use the poaching liquor for our stock to make our sauce. So you'll need a fine sieve like this when you are straining the fish and the milk, because you don't want to get any bones that may be in the liquor in your sauce. So that's why that's there. But basically, very quickly, a pint of milk in there, and you will bring this up to simmer, and a little bit of salt and pepper, and I use white pepper when I'm using white fish and mashed potato. People put black pepper in, it's okay, but I don't like to see any kind of black in my product, especially when I'm using white products. So I use white pepper, bit of salt, and a whole peeled onion. And you're not putting the onion and cutting it up later, it's just to basically give the liquor some fragrance. And you can put bay leaves in, and I have, and it's okay, but I do prefer more of a fishy plain sauce because I'm using the parsley later, so I don't put the bay leaf in, but you can if you want. So I'm going to bring this to simmer, and once it's at simmering point, I'll come back. Right, we're at the simmering point, and this is when we put the fish in. Got a small onion in there already with a little bit of salt and pepper, and be very gentle. Put your fish, this is the smoked cod, you can use haddock, any of your favourite fishes really, and this is just the cod loin here. It's a delicate fish, so well, fish is delicate, so just be gentle with it. And what I'm going to do now is put it onto a low heat, and this is going to poach for 2 minutes, maybe 3, with the lid on. I'll be right back. Okay, I've simmered my fish. I did it for about 4 minutes actually, because I think I put it on a little bit too low. It just wasn't bubbling enough, but Anyway, 4 minutes and it's ready to drain. So I want to not get rid of the milk because we're using the milk for our stock. So I put a sieve over a large jug or any container or a bowl even, and I'm just going to remove the fish first using a plate, and I've got a straining spoon, and I'm just going to remove all of my fish. Sorry, I'm doing this off camera. Oh dear, I'll get into trouble. Oh dear, I'm complaining. Okay, so I've just put that there. And once that's cool, I will actually go through it very gently and make sure there is no bones. And then with my liquor, or stock now, it's a fish stock, I'm going to pour it through the strainer into a jug. And there isn't any bones, but it's just really a precaution, because there's nothing worse than having bones in anything. Okay, so I'm going to let that cool now. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm coming back in here quickly. I've had my potatoes on boiling and I've started to mash them with some white pepper again, salt, butter. I'm just going to add a touch of single cream. Oh yes, oh yes, this is decadent as much as I can possibly make it. And I'm just going to mash that through. And while it's still warm, sorry, I hope you can see my mashed potato, yeah? I've grated finely some strong cheddar, okay? And I'm not going to use it all because I'm going to use some for the topping. But while it's warm, just sprinkle your cheddar in. Because if you do it while it's cold, it won't melt through, and leave obviously some for your topping. Leave that out of the way. And then give it a mash to incorporate all of the cheese, and because it's still warm, it will melt through. It'll just give it a nice flavour. So that's that, very quickly, and I'll be right back. Alright then, so I let the cod cool, and then I flaked it up and evenly distributed it in a kind of a lasagna size, but anything would do. And I flaked the fish evenly, so there's a little bit of smoked, a little bit of the white fish, and I'm just going to put it all together. So I boiled some eggs, as you can see at the back here, and I'm going to add some king prawns. And what I tend to do is I think about bites. I think about how many servings you'll get out of it. So I want everyone to get a piece of everything. So at first I'm a little bit precise like that, and then once I know that everyone's going to at least get a prawn, I can just pack the rest of the prawns on like this, you know. So that's it. And then I also add some boiled eggs, as you can see behind me there. Okay, so I'm just going to add eggs in the same way to ensure that everyone gets a little bit of egg in a bite. So just strategically at first, as I say, you don't have to put eggs in, please don't shout me out, but I like it. It works. You can put frozen garden peas in as well, but I don't. I usually add peas or broccoli, cauliflower, etc. as an accompaniment, and I don't actually put the peas in the pie. So I've put it all in like so, and now I'm going to show you how to make a roux and a fish sauce. it's for beginners, so you know, I know that a lot of people know how to do it. Don't be put off, because it isn't the easiest thing, but once you learn the technique, and once you've got that technique, you will be always making sauces. You'll be making lasagna sauces, you'll be making fish sauces, butter sauces, cheese sauces. You will be in your element. So 2 minutes, I'll just put this up to the side and we will start. Okay, we're going to start the roux, or fish sauce. Okay, so in a pan you need 2 ounces. If you use grams, it'll all be listed below. 2 ounces of plain flour. Plain flour. And with some scales, you want the same butter. 2 ounces. Doesn't have to be exact, but yeah. And you put them in here. Alright, I just put a little bit in for luck, I always do, because I like it creamy. Move them out of the way. Sorry. And I have a wooden spoon. Okay. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put this now on a very low heat to melt through. And you can't, it's one of those things, you can't move away. You can't go and get yourself a drink. You can't go and answer the phone and say, oh, I think I'll go and talk to Mavis. You've got to stand over it. And what you're going to do is you're going to keep stirring until all of the butter is melted and absorbed into the flour. And it will go stiff. But I'll start that off now and I'll come back and show you what to do. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to put my gas on. I've got my fish stock here as well. And I'm going to start stirring. And I'm only going to show you the first phase, because the first phase is the most important. You can skip this bit if you don't want to see how to make a roux. Simple as that. But I'm just going to melt this down. And what you're doing is, and this is the important bit, I know a lot of people will make a roux and they'll go, ugh, it tasted floury. Yeah, I know, because you've done it wrong. Alright, so I'm melting it down, low heat. You can't move away, you can't answer the phone to Mavis. Okay, you've just got to stick with it. And what I'm doing is I'm cooking the flour out. You may think that sounds a bit strange when I say cooking the flour out, but you really do have to do this stage. Otherwise, if you just let that melt and then start adding the butter, the stock, it will taste floury. It's as simple as that. Alright, so I'm still going. I haven't added any liquor here. I haven't added any stock, and I'm just cooking that flour out so it doesn't have that raw powdery feel and texture in your sauce. And basically you do this, I would say, on a low heat for no less than 2 minutes. I kid you not. And once you've done that, you can, safe to say, will make the most creamy, cream-like white sauce, no matter what you add to it, whether it be cheese or whatever, or fish sauce in this instance. But it will be so creamy, everyone will be going, how did you do that? So I'm going to keep doing that off camera, and then I'll show you how to add the milk. I've been mixing this through for 2 minutes. You can actually hear it lightly sizzle. That's just the butter cooking the flour, and that's what you're looking for. So I'll put this gas, excuse me, back on low heat, turning and moving all the time, and using your fish stock in small amounts. Add some and mix. And you'll think, uh-oh, what's happening here? It's going even thicker. That's right. Okay, so stirring it as you go and adding little bit more liquor. Alright. And you do this until it becomes like double cream. And at that point you can actually just add the entire milk to the pot. Taking it off the heat, adding a little bit more, really low heat, that's the key at this point, and mixing through. I'm trying to lift and stir at the same time. I don't have technology, I don't have amazing equipment, I'm sorry, I've got a rubbishy camera thing, but hey, and again it's gone thick again. But you're cooking that flour constantly and it's getting rid of that powdery feel that I know that a lot of you have said, oh, I give up on making my own sauces because they just taste like powder. Well, you don't. You want it to taste like fresh cream almost. So I keep doing this, adding my liquor bit by bit, keeping it on a low heat. You can take it off ever so slightly if you're not comfortable, but you're wanting that mix through. I use a wooden spoon, but hey, you can use whatever you want. I just find that the wooden spoon gets the bottom clear. And again, and I'm going to keep doing this off camera because I know I'm boring you, because you've done the hardest stage and that's cooking the flour out. So I'm going to keep adding this, all the liquor, and I'll show you how to go from there. I'll be right back. Okay, I've been doing that for a couple of minutes again, and now we're at this stage. It's almost like Yorkshire pudding mix. But yeah, there's no lumps at all in this, and you just keep it on a low heat. Don't change it up, don't mix it up yet. And we're just cooking out that flour, and we're adding our fish stock, milk liquor, and a bit more. And again, stirring. You can just fast forward if you're bored, and you can see the end of it instead. But yeah, and you keep doing that, incorporating the liquor, keep going until it starts to form kind of double cream. And again, I'm quite happy with that, so I'm going to just add all of my liquor now. Okay, I'm going to turn up the heat just ever so slightly. And again, you can't move. You're stuck. You're stuck here until it's done. And it's stirring, keeping it moving, because you don't want it sticking to the sides. You don't want it burning on the bottom. And you just keep this motion. And I'll fast forward this now so that you can see it coming together. At the moment, it's almost like single cream. And this will all thicken up, and I'll come back when it's at that stage. I'll keep stirring. I'll be right back. Okay, we've come back from single cream to now a double cream texture, and I've turned it off the heat. Now remember at the beginning, when we poached the liquor, we did season the liquor with a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Now because we're using smoked fish, I haven't added any more salt to my sauce. I wait till it's ready like this, and then I taste. It actually needs just a tiny bit more salt, but it's best to do it that way because you can over salt, and when you're using smoked fish it's already quite salty. Just needs a little bit more salt and maybe a touch more white pepper. So I'm ready now to do the next stage, and I'll leave this off to the side just to cool for a couple of minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is cooling, and at this point you've been wondering, what is that parsley for? Well, this is a parsley fish sauce, and it's really chopped up at the very end and added. So I'm just going to sprinkle the parsley in and stir. Finely chopped. Well, it doesn't matter if it's rustic, it just adds a little bit of greenery to it, like that, and just stir that like this. And then I'm going to move that out of the way just for a brief second. Move my chopping board like so. Bring in my parsley sauce, fish parsley sauce, and obviously the fish that I made earlier, like so. And we then add, I'll just see if it's in shot, because I am murder at this. Yes, it's in shot, woohoo! And because we've strategically placed the fish and everything on here, it's not going to move around as much, so wherever you've laid your fish is basically where it'll probably stay. So we're going to start just drizzling this fish sauce over. Now try and make it as even as you can. And you're pouring it in. It will thin out in the cooking process ever so slightly again because of the water that's still obviously in the fish. But that's okay because this is nice and creamy and thick, so it could do with just watering down, but it's going to be fishy watering down because it's a fishy juice. Fish juice! How tempting! So I'm very, very tight. I make sure I get everything out of my bowl. And I'm just making sure it's as even as I can under the circumstances. So I've got as much as I can out of there really, without actually using my fingers. And then I've got, I should have my infamous spatula. Ta-da! And I'm just going to move that around ever so slightly, and that will sink down with the fish juices that once it's in the oven. Now I'm going to let that cool a little before I add my mashed potato, but that basically is it for now. So I'm going to add my mashed potato and we'll go from there. Okay, I've started putting the potato on and using my infamous spatula. I'll just continue this process. So I just pop it in and squash it down like this. And you just want it evenly distributed throughout. Now everything's cold now, as in room temperature, so my mash is a bit stiff. Ooh, however, this is great because I can, if I wanted to, put this aside, maybe put some cling film over it and put it in the fridge and cook it at a later date. So basically you can make this in advance. That's what I'm basically saying. So I'm going to continue adding the mashed potato all the way down and I'll come back. We're on the home straight. Finally! So I'm just gonna, I've obviously covered this. This is totally cool now. I've got a fork. I'm just gonna add some texture to it. Kind of the old-fashioned way. And you don't have to do this. I'm just turning it. It's kind of how you see it in the supermarkets. Fancy making a pie from scratch and then making it look like one you get in the supermarket. How silly. No, there is reason for this. By adding some texture, oh, I've just knocked it there. By adding some texture and fluffing it, when you put it in the oven, it will not singe, but it will crust quite sweetly. Okay, and it'll look so divine when it's finished, and you'll be like, oh yeah. And then finally, if it's in shot, I did make and leave some cheddar, not lots, don't over cheese it, but I did. So I'm just going to add a little crumbling, a crumble. I did a little bit too much there. A crumble of cheddar. This is a strong cheddar, English cheddar. And you don't want to over cheese. I don't think. Less is more, because you don't want to take away the beautiful flavour of the fish. And that's it. So I'm going to put it in the oven. It's already cooked, it's just warming it through really. But I'll put the temperatures and everything below because I know I go into too much detail. Put it in the oven for, I would say, 25 minutes. When it comes out, I will show you. I'll be right back. Okay, it's been in the oven for about 28 minutes. And as you can see, hopefully, because we textured the mashed potato, it's got a nice golden colour. So I'm going to dish this up. Here we go. Live, coming at ya. So I've just done some vegetables for my husband. I'm just going to see if this is in view. Move it back. Hopefully. So I'm going to just cut in to it. Just taking off the edge. Like so. And I'm going to bring over my plate. And I'm going to just tuck in. There we have. And as you can see, fish pie done to perfection. Yummy, yum, yum. There will be more tutorials coming soon. It's New Year's Eve today, so I want to wish you all a very, very Happy New Year. Thanks for watching. Bye.